All right, we are back live here with the Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Shoot Rock, and it is officially NBA playoffs time. I know my last episode ran a little bit a while ago. Did my first round, series predictions, playing predictions, stuff like that. But now, we're a couple games in. Decided to do a little bit later this week, just so that way, could maybe talk about a couple different games in each series as opposed to just one. Last year when I tried to just talk about like every single game individually, didn't really do super well. So rather maybe just kind of look at it like from an overview, and then at the end we can maybe kind of talk some other NBA news and notes, kind of stuff like that. So let's get into it first. Let's look at this playoff bracket here that we have so far. So honestly, I was kind of surprised. A lot of the series, granted, now we have some series that are 2-1 after some results early tonight. I guess just one, but looks like the Raptors are about to force the Cavs to 2-1 here as well. But 5 of the 8 series were 1-1 after 2 games, which is not something I saw coming. Granted, we'll dive in to each game here a little bit, and make sure to drop your, kind of takes here in the comments so far. So yeah, kind of that's what we're gonna do tonight. Is the plan is just go through and kind of talk about, each series, each game that's happened so far, like a little bit, but more just kind of what I see happening going forward here. Also, I thought I was doing the share the tab, not the whole screen. But so let's start there with that OKC and Phoenix series here, just because this one will probably be pretty quick. So far it's 2-0 OKC. They win 119 to 84 in game 1, and then game 2 they win 120 to 107. Really just kind of cruising in both games. Shea, the leading scorer here in game 1 with 25 points. As well as then looking here, we'll pull up the box score as well for game 2. He's their leader once again with 37. So he's having some, pretty big games here. He's been the best player in the series by far. Phoenix just like has not had an answer for Shea really at all. And, really just, they're just not as good of a team. Like, Dylan Brooks was coming in to kind of be like a Shea stopper, and he goes for 30 points in this last game, as well as, Devin Booker with 22 and 21 from Jalen Green. But it's just like OKC is just so much more efficient. Their offense is just so much better. Like neither of these games really felt competitive. It's just been all kind of OKC. So looking here, game 3 is going to be on Saturday. Like I kind of hate how much the NBA draws out these series a little bit here in the first round, especially ones like this. That's like, we know it's over, bro. Like it took them, 7 days to play 3 games. Like it's over. This one I'm pretty confident in saying like it's going to be a sweep. It's like OKC is going to cruise in this one. Like Phoenix really does not have a chance at all. Maybe Phoenix gets like one of the games there at home, but just from what I'm seeing so far, it's really just been a complete Thunder domination and not something that I really see changing. But then the next one we'll go to here, sticking here in the West. Let's go all the Western Conference series first, and then the East. And then this one, it's a series that's 2-0, one of the few 2-0 series that wasn't 1-1. And it was the way that really kind of surprised me, in all honesty, after, we got the LA Lakers up 2-0 here in the series over the Houston Rockets. They won game 1, 107-98 behind 27 points from Luke Kennard. He was their leading scorer in that one. He's been playing a huge role in this series so far. He's just kind of been a flamethrower, been unstoppable for this Lakers team. Lakers win game 2 as well, 101-94. We're just kind of same thing. KD was back in this one. That was a big thing. KD did not play in game 1 there for Houston, but now being back here for game 2, it seemed like, okay, like the Rockets should be able to get one. And then once again, the Lakers, like I said, Luke Kennard once again goes for 23 points. Marcus Smart also has a huge game with 25, including 5-7 from beyond the arc. But it's King James, bro. He's 41 years old. He's still just cooking. He went for 28 points. The leading scorer in this game is like throwing down the reverse dunks. Like at times in this series, he's looked like he's 21 and not 41. And that's been a really big difference here for the Lakers, where, like I said, Houston, it's really just like their offense has been just very stagnant. Like you're seeing here, only shot 40% from the field and 24% from 3 in game 2. Like it's really just like let Kevin Durant go to work, and really even that like didn't work too well. I mean, he scores 23 points, but like 1 of 4 from beyond the arc. Şengün scores 20 points to the second leading score, but on 20 shots. Like the Houston offense just looked really bad so far, and it's definitely something like that they're going to have to flip. Like I said, this is not a series that I saw going this way at all, especially given how, the injuries the Lakers have with, no Luka, no Austin. Like 2 of their 3 best players are not playing in this series, but when LeBron turns back the clock and, Luke Kennard's been playing and guys like Marcus Smart, like guys have really stepped up, and that's been really big for this Lakers team. It's something they didn't get last year in the first round of the playoffs. So to get it now, that's really big. Do I think they win this series? I don't think this series is over by any means. And also okay, they won the 2 home games. Like Houston just at one point, if they defend home court, only has to steal one game, win one game here in LA. So I would say it really kind of depends here. Like if Houston wins game 3, which looking here is it's tomorrow on Prime at 7, or I believe 8 Eastern, 7 Central. If Houston wins that game, I think we really have a series. If the Lakers are able to go up 3-0, I don't think they'll sweep. I definitely would be very surprised if this series ends in a sweep for the Lakers. But I honestly, I don't want to say the winner of game 3 wins the series. So maybe I'll say, if the Rockets win game 3, the winner of game 4 is who I think wins the series. If Houston's able to tie it up 1-1 or 2-2, I mean, get the momentum swinging back in their direction. Really get KD going. Like that's really just what it's going to be. They're really going to have to get their offense going and find a way to slow down some of these other guys that have really stepped up for the Lakers, which, that's probably the more likely thing to happen. Is Luke Kennard going to average, 23 plus, like however many points he's averaging? I think 25, something like that. Doing the quick math this series, probably not. But I mean, if he keeps shooting the ball the way he is, he could. So they got to find a way to take that away here for game 3, and then just really find a way to get their offense going. So that's, really the key to me in that series is just, can Houston finally get their offense going? Like, if not, this could be a quick one where we're seeing, like a Lakers in 5 kind of thing. I would say right now, my official prediction, what do I want to go with here? I'm going to go Lakers in 6. I think Houston, like I said, they win at least one, if not both of these next 2 games here at home. And then, I guess they would have to win if they pretty much in the next 3 games, the Lakers are going to win. Or I guess that's just kind of how it's going to have to work. In the next 4 games, they're going to win 2 out of the 4. But that's simple math to rock. So I'm going to go Lakers in 6 still. I think they steal at least one of these, 3 games in Houston, if not 2, or hopefully, I don't know, hopefully they just defend home court even if they don't steal more than 1. So I'm going to go with Lakers in 6 as my pick there. So then moving on here in the West, probably the most fun series we've had so far is the Timberwolves and Nuggets, which game 3 is going on right now. And this is one that's tied 1-1 because, Denver, they win game 1, 116-105. Jamal Murray had a really big game in this one, scoring 30 points. Nikola Jokic, did his typical thing, like he was slowed down in this one. He still ends up going for 25, 13, has a triple-double. And he just wasn't really the most notable player in this game. Then, like I said, Murray with 30. Every single Nuggets starter was in double figures. They shot the ball not great, but, slightly better than the Timberwolves, who behind 22 from Anthony Edwards, just really, like I said, at times they stuck around this game. I want to say the first half. So I'm trying to remember all the way back here to now Saturday. Is this one of the first games? Yeah, in the first half, it was close. It was a little back and forth, but second half was really just Denver just really turned it on, pulled away, proved they were the better team. I mean, you're seeing there the big third quarter, 29-17, they outscored Minnesota. And they were looking prime to take a 2-0 lead until Minnesota steals game 2 here in Denver. This one was on Monday night, I believe. Like I said, all these days blend together. That's the great part about this year. I guess I didn't really do my whole spiel at the beginning that I'll do sometimes. The next 3 days are kind of a pseudo sports equinox where we got NBA and NHL playoffs every night. There's MLB games on. My Yankees just swept the Red Sox, so I've had a lot of fun watching baseball. And then you got the NFL draft tonight. So that's why this show got started a little bit later. Was watching the Steelers pick. So that's what I'm saying. All these days blend together, but really good time of year for sports here because you got games like Monday. Yes, it was Monday because I remember just being the NBA really stepped up after these kind of not so great games over the weekend. I tweeted out again, I know it's a basketball show, but I'm a big NHL playoffs guy. And that's something you guys comment down below too. Do you guys prefer NHL or NBA playoffs? I know that's kind of been something really debated going around, and I was just kind of I don't really see how people could say NBA playoffs after Sunday. Sunday, all the NHL games are really good, all the NBA games are kind of eh. But then the NBA responded. We have some really good series here so far. Looking at it now, so Minnesota steals game 2. Behind, am I looking at game 2 here? Yes, I am. Once again, Jamal Murray goes for 30, but he's matched by Anthony Edwards with 30 of his own. as well as 10 rebounds this one, plus a really big game from Julius Randle, as well as Dante DiVincenzo was hitting some big shots, as well as Jaden McDaniels too. Like the Timberwolves had guys step up that did not play super well there in game one, and that ended up being the difference in this game, why they were able to kind of end up stealing it from the Nuggets, who, still, like I said, Murray goes for 34, Jokic just 24, 15, and 8, but it was really just kind of like they just didn't put the game away. Once again, like didn't shoot like super great. But yeah, like I said, Minnesota outscores them by 8 there in the fourth quarter and really just kind of steals it, which, like, oddly, Minnesota keeps just seeming to find a way to do this. Like, I would argue Denver is arguably, like, I would say if I had to pick between who I thought was more likely to beat the Thunder, if I had to pick Denver or San Antonio, I'd probably pick Denver. So, like, I think they're the second favorite, and, like, I could see them upsetting OKC. So, like, a team that could very easily get the finals. They also just, like, do not match up well against Minnesota. Like, Minnesota just seems to have their number here in the playoffs. So, we'll kind of see how this series goes as well. Like, this is one where, especially because right now, Minnesota's up by 20 here in game 3. Like, maybe it was just kind of one of those momentum shifting wins that you get sometimes in a series where all of a sudden Minnesota could take this. And I don't know, it's just kind of, for me, like I said, I'm really high on this Denver team. Like, they're probably my favorite team in the West. I mean, like, I don't mind the Spurs. Just something for me about the Thunder, like, and, they won last year. I like seeing different winners. Like, there's a team, like, I kind of root for in the West right now, other than the Lakers, obviously. I would say it's, like, Denver, and just, like, I don't really think the Lakers have a realistic shot of going to the finals. I think that's a little bit why I'm not super bought in on this team as well. I thought they were going to lose to Houston, but even if they somehow beat Houston, they're gonna lose to OKC. But I don't know, man. Minnesota, they just keep finding ways. They're just such a really good playoff team, and if Anthony Edwards can keep having some big ones, and like I said, they're leading right now. I mean, we can pull up this box score here so far. They're just, like I said, they just are one of those teams. They find a way to turn on the playoffs right now. Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels, once again, the leaders for this T-Wolves team, plus 12 points from Ayo Dosunmu. So really big game for him as well. So I had to go for Denver and Minnesota. I think I might go Timberwolves in 6. Like, just because, one, I think they win all the games at home. I mean, just seeing how, like, they kind of stole the one in Denver. So it's literally they just defend serve, which they're doing very well right now. They're looking pretty. So I think I'm going to right now change my pick. I know originally I picked Denver, and I think I had them in the conference finals, but I don't know, man. Like, Minnesota, like I'm just saying, has their number, and I'm kind of leaning with them. So then the final series here out west, another one that, sneaky here maybe is kind of becoming a series that we did not see coming. Granted, am I super bullish on that happening? No, but you never know here. As that game one was Sunday again. All the days blending together. But the Blazers and Spurs are another series currently tied at 1, where the higher seed in the Spurs won game 1, 111-98 on Sunday. Wemby goes for 35 points in that one. Denny Avdija, the leader for the Blazers, with 30. Like, he was really the only reason Portland was really even in this game. Like, San Antonio felt fully in control, like, just did not have an answer for Wemby. Plus, then you got, De'Aaron Fox and Stephon Castle, 17 apiece, having some really nice games as well. So Spurs, end up really kind of cruising in that one. But then game 2, they fall at home, 106-103. And this was the Scoot Henderson game. He goes for 31 points in this one. It was kind of the debate a couple years ago. I don't really think anyone was trying to say Scoot over Wemby, but, like, they were kind of not in, I don't know how to say, like, same tier, but it was like these are the top 2 guys in the draft. Like, there was, like, the G League Ignite team that Scoot was playing, the Spurs, or not the Spurs, the French team that Wembanyama was on. Like, it was like, these are the 2 guys in this draft. And really, I would say Scoot really definitely has not lived up to the same hype that Wemby has. But then today on that game at 2 here on Tuesday, like, really just turned it on. 31 points for him, including 5 of 9 from beyond the arc. So that's really, kind of the theme you're seeing here. I mean, that basketball is, if the not as good team, the lesser team is hitting their threes and they're on, like, it keeps them in these games. And that's kind of what happened here. Plus, Wemby only has 5 points because he left in the second quarter, hit his head on the floor, he's in concussion protocol. We'll see if he's playing here in game 3, where if Wemby's out a couple games, like, I would say for Portland to have any chance, like I said, they'd probably need Wemby to be out at least game 3, if not 3 and 4, and they probably have to win both those games. But, like, if he's back, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen. I'd have to look up a injury thing here. I'll try to get a quick search in quick. But like I said, it would be the Blazers need to win both these games at home, have a 3-1 series lead, and then still, like, San Antonio is good enough that they could overcome that deficit. Plus, like, 2 of those games would still be at home. Wemby's currently listed as questionable, so we'll see if he ends up playing. If he does, like, I'm still praying to go Spurs in like a max of 6. If Wemby's out a couple games here, I'm still going to go Spurs, but I would say in 7. No Wemby, especially if Scoot keeps playing like this, that could make things really interesting. But I still just think, I still think San Antonio, like I said, Castle's so good. Like, De'Aaron Fox can have his moments. Devin Vassell had a good game in that other one. I mean, he's in double figures here, both these games. Maybe a guy like a veteran like Harrison Barnes, or, like a Luke Cornett, like maybe they end up having a really big game. So I don't think that, like, while yes, Portland won a game here, like makes it a 1-1 series. Game 3 is tomorrow night. It's not a series that I'm like, oh, like Portland can. I still am very much picking San Antonio. I don't think they really should have a problem advancing. Like I said, I think they're better than Minnesota. I think we get San Antonio in the conference finals if they win the series in Minnesota. I mean, even if Denver wins, San Antonio can still beat Denver, but definitely feeling a lot more confident in them if it's Minnesota. And like I said, I still think they should get passes. Like I said, granted, if the Wemby injury ends up being pretty serious, he ends up missing a bunch of time, then it's a different story, but I just don't really see that happening. So I think San Antonio is going to be just fine. So now we'll move on to the East, where it's another one. We got a 1-1 series, and it's because the lower seed stole game 1 here. Orlando wins 112-101. A team that everyone was calling dead in the water, was saying Charlotte was going to run them out of the gym there in the play-in. And then the opposite happened where Orlando runs Charlotte out of the gym. And then they keep it going. They win game 1 behind 23 points from Paolo Banchero. He finally gets it going. He also has 9 rebounds and 4 assists in this one, where that's really just the key. Can we get Paolo playing to his full potential? That's when Orlando has a chance. Like, Detroit is definitely vulnerable in this series, despite being the 1 seed in the East. I am a very big believer in, like, you got to take your lumps in the playoffs. Granted, maybe you could say Detroit did that last year against the Knicks, losing in the first round, but giving them a tough series. But, Cade goes for 39, but it was really just had, like, no help around him. Tobias Harris, the only other Piston in double figures with 17 in that game on 15 shots. So it was just a very, very poor game from the Pistons offensively, where Paolo Banchero, on the other hand, really got it going, plus had guys like, Wendell Carter and Franz Wagner really step up. Like, Wendell Carter was probably the best big on the floor in this game. Like, Jalen Duren in this one, like, he's been a really big key for Detroit this year. He only had 8 points and 7 boards. Like, he just got absolutely manhandled in that game. But game 2, script flips, insanely low scoring when Detroit wins 98-83, where they just pulled away in the third quarter, outscoring Orlando 38-16. Like, this was a close game at halftime. It was a good contest. It was tied. And I believe at one point it was like in the third quarter, like, Orlando had only scored like 3 points and Detroit had scored 30. Like, it was just nuts. Like, you can see it here on this graph of, like, just how it goes from, being a close game, like, back and forth, to just Detroit just absolutely pulls away. Huge game from Cade in this one with 27 points, as well as 11 assists. And Tobias Harris really stepped up here. He had 16 and 11, so double-double for him as well. And then you had, all 5 starters getting, just like 10, 11 points in double figures. But Jalen Duren, a lot better game, 11 points, 9 boards. On the Magic side, led by 19 from Jalen Suggs. So, able to slow down Paolo again, where he scores 18, but only on 17 shots. So definitely a lot better defensive effort from Detroit in this game, and just how poor Orlando shot the ball really ends up kind of being the difference here. So this series, I'm pretty torn. I could go either way. I kind of was that way before. Like, a lot of people, I think, were picking, Charlotte, that they could beat Detroit, if it was going to be them, where, Orlando, like I said, everyone just kind of counted out the Magic because, they, like I said, had really just kind of been stumbling their way into the postseason here, had not been playing good basketball. I mean, they lose their first play-in game against the Sixers, but then, end up just routing Charlotte and then win game 1. So it's going to take, like, big Paolo games, big Wendell Carter, someone else like that to really step up as well. But I honestly almost just kind of think sometimes you're like better off as the lower seed. If you're gonna win a game on the road, like win game 2, like have the momentum coming back to your gym as opposed to like you win game 1, it almost kind of wakes the other team up where like I said, now they get back, Detroit figures out they win game 2. And now, they kind of more have the momentum heading to Orlando. So if they can, keep executing that game plan, they execute in game 2 as opposed to game 1, they'll be looking pretty good there. So I am gonna go here with I'm gonna go Detroit. I'll give Orlando one more game. I'll go Detroit in 6 is my pick there. So then moving on to the 4-5 out here in the East, and honestly, this series has been kind of boring. Granted, Toronto does win tonight to make it 2-1 now here, make things a little bit more interesting. But Cleveland, they're up 2-1 on Toronto, winning both games pretty handily at home. Game 1, they won 126 to 113 behind. Donovan Mitchell scoring 32 points in this one, as well as 24 from Max Strus. Like, he was hitting a lot of really big shots. Like, when you can have guys like that come off the bench in the playoffs, it makes a really big difference. And then James Harden goes for 22 as well, as that kind of Robin to Donovan Mitchell's Batman at this point. That's why they got him for the playoffs for him to have big games like this. And then you throw in Mobley and Jared Allen also in double figures. So really good game there from the Cavs in game 1. I mean, shooting over 50% from the floor, 50% from 3. Like I said, we're really just hitting their shots. I mean, Toronto didn't shoot it like that much poorly either. Like, they were pretty similar shooting clips, but RJ Barrett's the leader with 24 and then 21 from Scotty Barnes. But it was just a game that it's really just these third quarters. If you like kind of notice here, a lot of these games, it's the third quarter. Who wins the third quarter, where you're seeing a lot of these teams, like, they just win it pretty handily, and then that just kind of ends up like deciding the game. Like, Toronto was down 7 at the half, and then they get outscored by 14 in the third. Now they're down 21. Like, the game's over. Like, sure, you see like 20-point comebacks like when you're down 21 in the first half, but going down 21, just getting absolutely dominated in the third quarter, that's just absolutely demoralizing. So, really, really tough for Toronto to come back after that. And then game 2 was a lot of the same here. 115 to 105 win for the Cavs, where once again, just really did not feel super competitive. No like big quarter that the Cavs like really outscored them. Like, the first quarter was the quarter they outscored them the most, but then they just led throughout. Like, Toronto stuck around, Cleveland led by as much as 16. So like, they were around that 10-point range really for a lot of the game. And like I said, really just kind of felt like the entire time that Cleveland was in control. Donovan Mitchell once again goes for 30 points with 5 assists in this one. Throw in, James Harden with 28, Evan Mobley with 25 and 8. So just a lot of really big games like for the same guys here on the Cavs. The Raptors really just don't seem to have an answer for. Once again, I mean, Scotty Barnes is going to get his goes for 26. RJ Barrett goes for 22. But just another game that like the Cavs felt very much in control. However, we will touch on it quick since it is over. Toronto does win game 3 tonight here, 126 to 104. That's another reason why I want to go a little bit later. Where Scotty Barnes, he's the leader in this one with 33. This is one, like I said, didn't watch like super close just because like I've been kind of watching the draft and some baseball more tonight. So we'll still definitely like kind of touch on this one again. But this is a game like Toronto definitely needed if they're going to have a chance in this series. Granted, do I really think they have a chance? In all honesty, I'm going to say no. I think we still get Cavs in. I'm probably going to go Cavs in 5. I guess I'll have to, like you said, watch this one back a little bit here, see if, what I'm kind of seeing from Toronto, if I like what I'm seeing. But I don't know. I feel like even if they like win game 4, I'm probably going to go Cavs in 6. I'm like Cavs in 5, 6 max is really my pick here. I just think they're the better team. Like I said, really proved it in those first 2 games. This is the first time too. Cleveland had won 12 straight playoff games against the Raptors. So for them to turn the tides here, that's something pretty major, very much needed. But I'm still going Cavs. Like I said, they really just have the Raptors number, and I'd be very surprised in all honesty if that changed. So then moving on to the next series here in the East, this is another one that's surprising me as well. The Atlanta Hawks currently lead the New York Knicks 2-1. Said another game that ended here earlier tonight. We're going to start in order. We're going to go, like I said, game by game. The Knicks win game 1. Once again, another like not super competitive game, 113 to 102, where Jalen Brunson goes for 28, as well as 7 assists. 6 lead changes, but the Knicks never trailed there in the second half. So end up just kind of cruising to the victory there. where, like I said, they were just a better team. Like, this was the CJ McCollum game. Knicks fans were trying to like make CJ McCollum the Trae Young for the Hawks in this series, which I don't really understand. He goes for 26 points, but on 20 shots. And same thing, Jalen Johnson, 23 points, but on 20 shots. So not a great shooting night for the Hawks, including only 63% from the charity stripe. So yeah, like I said, Brunson leader with 28, as well as then Cat with 25 and 8. And then 18 and 8 from OG Anunoby. So a lot of different guys for the Knicks were getting it done in this one, but that really has not been the case the last two games. So first, the Hawks steal game 2, 107 to 102, where that's what I'm saying. CJ McCollum, he's the villain. He scores 32 points in this one to lead the Hawks, including the game-winning basket, as well as 17 from Jalen Johnson, 15 from Onyeka Okongwu. So it was just a game that, like, the Hawks, you said, the opposite of the first game. Like, the first game, the Knicks cruised in the second half. But this game, the Hawks, really stuck around. Jalen Brunson goes for 29 in this one. But then, not as good of a shooting night. Like, took 26 shots. Karl-Anthony Towns, same thing, 18 points. But on 12 shots, only 8 rebounds. Like, the Knicks went from shooting, over 40% from 3 in game 1 and over 50% from 4 to 45%, 32%. And then they themselves shot 63% from the free throw line. So that's one, it just like wasn't, they didn't play as well. CJ McCollum definitely found something there. And like I said, like, the Knicks really did lead, for most second half. But the fourth quarter, the Hawks really chipped away, ended up taking the lead, stealing the game late. So they even the series heading to Atlanta, and then they win game 3 tonight, 109 to 108, where once again it's CJ McCollum. He kind of is becoming the villain for this Hawks team. I guess, I'm kind of first to the punch here talking about this a little bit. I haven't really listened to, any other NBA podcasts yet. But yeah, he scores 23. Jalen Johnson with 24. So like he's definitely been playing better the last 2 games. And then even Kuminga with 21 off the bench. So like he's really stepped up for this Hawks team as well. Jalen Brunson scores 26 points in this one. As well as, like I said, 29 from Anunoby, 21 from Towns. But Josh Hart and Miles Bridges essentially just non-existent. Miles McBride does have 15 off the bench, but takes 14 shots, granted 5 of 10 from beyond the arc. But everyone else really, outside of Anunoby, just like 0 for like knocking 1-3. And that ends up really being a big difference here. Like where, like I said, if you cannot shoot the 3 and your opponent does, the Hawks shooting 39% from 3 in this one, which, like I said, not outstanding, but a lot better than 29%. Like you're seeing all these 0-fers for a lot of guys here. And, they get, like I said, get that late shot, and it ends up, stealing the series in a series that it really seemed like the Knicks should have won this series in 5. I feel like was probably the consensus, like a 5-6 max. It's going to take them at least 6, if not 7, if they're going to have a chance. And like, I don't know, this is another one, like the 6 seeds keep kind of seeming to give the 3 seed an issue. It's where I guess you really want to get one of those top 2 seeds and be playing one of, the play-in teams, as opposed to like the teams that, were equally as rested as you. It ends up kind of making a difference. So I really want to pick the Hawks, but I think the Knicks, like I said, this is another one I'm going to have to kind of, watch back tape here a little bit. I think the Knicks figured it out. I do think, though, it's going to go the distance now. I'm going to go Knicks to win this series in 7, but I do think they get it figured out. I think they're too good of a team here to lose in the first round. Like that, like I said, would just be a massive surprise to me. But I guess, that's basketball. You never know. And the final series here, another one that, like I said, people didn't really see this coming. I still think we're probably going to get the team everyone thought that would win it to win the series. But the 76ers, once again, also get a split in the Garden, winning 111 to 97 here in game 2, behind 30 points from VJ Edgecombe, including, he gave the camera a nice little wink. Like, this was very much the VJ Edgecombe game where 76ers were the better team there in the second half, and, did take the lead into the half with a 37-26 second quarter run. But this was definitely, one I did not see coming, especially just like I said, we'll get to in a sec. I guess I'm going a little bit out of order with this one. Like, Boston just dominated Philly in game 1. Like, really seemed like the Sixers had no fight. Looked like we were kind of maybe destined for a sweep, which, like I said, with just how bad these kind of 2 teams look, I wouldn't have been surprised. But now we're not going to get a sweep. So we'll see how things go when the series returns to Philly. So like I said, 30 points from Edgecombe, 29 from Maxey, as well as 19 from Paul George. So even, decent game for him. Drummond with 10 off the bench, with no Embiid in this series, that is a big deal. Jaylen Brown scores 36 and 19 from Jason Tatum, but no one else was in double figures for the Celtics in this game. Like I said, a game that they really just kind of struggled shooting ball, only 26% from beyond the arc when you're taking 53-point attempts. Like, that's just not going to work out well. Like I said, it was just a very, very different game from game one where Boston wins 123-91. Like, this was, like I said, felt very similar to like the OKC game. Like I said, really just all the games on Sunday other than maybe Detroit or Orlando, but even that one, like, really felt like Orlando was in control for a lot of, like, all the games Sunday were just really blowouts. Boston won, like I said, 123-91 was never really a close game. They start up 33-18, like, just jumped all over them. Tatum goes for 25 in that one, Brown goes for 26, but that's what I'm saying. Like, then the role players in this one were in double figures, like, shot the ball better. 12 from Hauser, 13 from Queta. Queta had a really big game as well. Like, I was really impressed with him. Like, he got both the Sixers bigs in Drummond and Ed Mbona into foul trouble. And, that's why, you don't really see as many Ed Mbona minutes there in game two. Because, like I said, really big game there from Queta. Plus, and, you throw in Derek White, as well as Peyton Pritchard all in double figures. So this game was more of how I kind of see this series going. I think Boston is the better team. I think you kind of maybe you get this a good amount in these NBA playoffs where, like I said, the first round, well, it's like sweet. I love there's games every day. A lot of the series are kind of drawn out. Who's going to win. So it is kind of fun to get like a game 2 for Philly where, they end up, kind of stealing one. Maybe, there's a little bit more enticement here going into this game 3 tomorrow night at 7 Eastern time in Philly. So, that gym should be rocking. 1-1 series there. Plus, the Flyers over in hockey have been playing really well. They're up 3-0 now in their series. So, it's going to be a tough place to play, but I think Boston gets at least one, if not both. Like, I'm probably still leaning both in like a Boston and 5 here, where, like I said, I really just think it was like an off night for the Celtics where then, like I said, like it was an off night. Philly had a really good night. Like I said, you get a game from VJ Edgecombe where he's, just killing it. And, I think he still could have, another big game, but it's not, it's not something that I necessarily see coming, and I think it's probably going to be tough for them to win multiple games, in all honesty. So for that reason, I still am going to go Boston. Like I said, similar thing where I'm going to go like a 5-6 max. But like I said, I like that at least we got one competitive game, so that was a lot of fun. So do just want to finish up here talking about the show with just a little bit of, some NBA news here. I'm trying to like figure out, like, they don't really have like a good spot like with just headlines anymore. That's kind of annoying. But because, while, the playoffs is kind of the main focus here, there has been some, other stuff going on. First, we got AJ DeBance. Like I said, we talk a lot of college on this show this year. Officially declares for the NBA draft. He's going to be the number 1 pick. That's why, tanking really was such an issue this year. Like, it's a very loaded class, including, the guy AJ DeBance here. So really, really kind of no surprise there. The biggest surprise would be if he somehow, like I would say, doesn't go first at this point. Just because, like I said, he was one of the best players, if not the best player in college basketball here all year. And then we got some, interesting coaching news here. So this one, I'm just coming across here right now. Bucks are finalizing a deal to hire Taylor Jenkins. So Jenkins, has been in the Bucks system before. Was head coach with Memphis. And it's definitely like time for a new era, I would say, here in Milwaukee. I like this hire. I don't mind it. I mean, it's not like one that I would say jumps off the page by any means, but it's a good hire. Like I said, Doc Rivers just like, it's time for him to retire. I just don't really think he's that great of an NBA coach anymore. Really, it seems like he's kind of underachieved with a lot of these teams that he's had here lately. So like that hire, and like I said, I kind of hope that they get rid of Giannis and just kind of develop. And I mean, like, Taylor Jenkins did a really good job developing that Memphis squad, where they're making the playoffs, maybe a little bit beforehand, and then you have some of your Ja Morant issues and stuff like that. And, then they end up kind of blowing it up, trading guys like Jaren Jackson and stuff like that. But, a couple years ago, Memphis looked like they were a serious threat in the West, and, obviously doesn't work out. But I kind of like Milwaukee, like I said, trading Giannis and maybe kind of being in that same spot where he can kind of get them to that level of hey, maybe they're achieving a little bit ahead of schedule, and maybe things work out a little bit better this time around. So I like that hire. And then the other big one here, Billy Donovan stepped away from the Chicago Bulls. This is one is just so interesting to me because, like I said, AK, their GM, the basketball president and GM, get fired. Billy Donovan's very much rumored for North Carolina, but he's like, no, I'm going to stick around. Like, he didn't want to bail on the Bulls. That's why I'm wearing my Bulls hat here. So I knew kind of was going to end the show with this. And then he ends up just stepping down anyway. So, like, he honestly, like, could be coaching North Carolina. I don't know if there's maybe something else in the works. Like, thinks he can maybe go to one of these other, like, NBA teams or, someone like, potentially like a Steve Kerr might retire. Maybe then, a college coach takes that Warriors job. Like, Todd Golden was the one rumor. He confirms that he is not going to be leaving Florida, which, granted, I don't know if I would have liked, obviously, Billy Donovan, Florida legend, but having him come back after all this time, I think would have been a little bit odd. I don't know if I would have loved that. But I would have liked him better for North Carolina than Mike Malone. So definitely just kind of an interesting cycle there where, like I said, I applaud him for trying to be like, okay, I want to finish the season. But I mean, if he just left when the GM and stuff left, like he could be the North Carolina head coach right now. So very interesting there. But the Bulls, like I said, very much doing the right thing. Like, have the separate GM, have the GM, the coach, have everyone be on the same timeline. And I like that there. So that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. We got a lot going on in basketball. Like I said, a lot of playoff talk. I'm going to probably try to finish, with some news and stuff every episode. Probably will dive back more into some college basketball once again. Transfer portal closed for entries. There's been some pretty big gets like John Blackwell going to Duke the other day. But, just kind of talking about the transfer portal as a whole, probably try to do that on some episodes here. Plus, like I said, once we get draft lottery stuff like that, doing some mock drafts, like I said, college guy at heart. But this time of year, got to watch the NBA playoffs. They're a lot of fun. That's what I'm just saying here. So many great sports going on this year. Like I said, NBA, NHL playoffs every night. We got baseball going on as well. So make sure to stay locked here on the Variety Sports Network channel. Like I said, we got seventh inning stretch been going every week. I know the 5-hole did their playoff preview. We even had, some football stuff here for the draft. And like I said, I'm going to keep trying to pump these out weekly. So really appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you guys next Monday for, kind of our recap of the first week here of the NBA playoffs. See y'all then. Peace.